So as the world turns and as governments globally continue to oppress women, as the United States is continuing to roll back laws, take away civil rights, take away women's rights to their bodies, take away any safety nets or any ways of help that we have as they continue to work everybody until they die, raise daycare prices so women can't afford to put their kids in daycare, forcing them to stay at home. I don't know how they plan on that happening. You can't stay at home if you can't afford it. But they're wanting women to depend on men who are working to take care of them. But they fail to realize that these same women have tried that before and got burnt. The men left them with nothing, almost homeless, left them for other women. They abused them financially. They don't realize that women are talking and seeing how these men are treating us globally. They don't realize that we're looking at celebrity relationships. Halle Bailey, just recently, Meg Thee Stallion, even though they're not married. These people aren't married. Keke Palmer, I know these are younger women, but the way that these men are treating these women publicly and in real life, women are talking about it. And women are not just giving up after one bad relationship like a lot of them want to think. Women are giving up after trying with several different men. Sometimes 5, 6, 7 different men. And it didn't turn out the way that they envisioned it because women have been lied to. Women go into these relationships eyes wide shut, thinking it's not all men because they're listening to other women online saying it's not all men. They're listening to men online saying it's not all men. But they're not actually listening to the women who are in these relationships. They're not listening to those people. The men who are saying it's not all men, they're of course going to say that because they're the men who are doing the things that they are doing. And the women who are saying that just haven't been heard enough. They just haven't touched the stove enough, but they will. And that's why I'm going to try to stop telling women what to do, like don't have kids for the next 10 years, because I'm seeing that naturally women are choosing on their own in their 20s not to be in relationships and have kids with these men because they see that it's not working. And they're starting to see content like mine and see it's not working. And that is why we have these men trying to take over these platforms, trying to take away freedom of speech so women can't speak out. If women keep speaking out and making channels like mine, they're going to either demonetize them so they can't get paid for the content. They're going to not push their content into the algorithm. They're going to take their pages down. Eventually, it's just going to be to where they're going to have pages up that are promoting teen pregnancy, that are promoting division and hate and racism and sexism against women, misogynoir, which is sexism against black women or racism against black women. It's just, that's what it's going to be. And if those who aren't awake start listening to this stuff, which is like mainly MAGA people, conservative Christian people who stay in their little bubble, they're not going to realize that it's us against them. It's not us against each other. It's us against the ones at the top who are changing the narrative again. This has been done all throughout history, and those who are not uneducated have studied it, have read the books, have looked at the documentaries, have seen what is going on, and we see where it's headed. It's headed back to slavery, not just for black people. It's going to be for women also and children. You know how they used to want you to have 12 children so you could work the land until you die? Well, that's going to happen again. They're making concentration camps for all of the radical Antifa. They call us Antifa. Anybody who is against hurting people and racism and hate, anybody who is just and fair is going to be labeled a inside threat, and they call you Antifa. And they're looking at our pages. If you don't agree with abusing people, you're going to be counted as a threat to this nation. They're already saying it online. This is not hyperbole. This is a fact. They are online saying that if you don't agree with a Hitler-esque type of regime, then you'll be labeled a threat. So as all of this is happening, women are paying attention and women are done birthing. I'm not saying there's not any women that are still birthing, but The nations are paying attention to the drop in birth rates, and they are saying that they are low. But if you're looking at what's going on globally, you're looking at nature, you're just in the know, you know that's not true. The birth rates are not low. They're getting back to where they should be. They're getting back to their natural place. We're not supposed to have this many people on the planet, especially this many males, because the planet has been destroyed in any way you can name or think of. And women are realizing, hey, we have the power to stop this. So we need to get the numbers down so that women, children, and girls, and even men can be safe from all of the ones who are causing all this havoc. Because with so many of them, there's nothing to do with them except put them in prison or take them out. And that's why they're being sent to the military. And the government knows that. That's why they want you to make more, because they need prisoners to work for them. Not only in like the actual prisons, but in the capitalist system, they need them to work in their actual like jobs and buildings for them. So let's get into what the women are saying about the birth rate dropping, and let's see if we can drop it even more, ladies. Let's go.
52% of women ages 20 to 39 are now child-free. You know what that means? You understand what this means? We're the majority. We are the majority. I didn't even know there were 6 million people out there who might agree with me. Where we are now, look how far we've come. Because having kids was the default. It was honestly kind of treated like if you were in your 30s and you didn't have kids, that was weird. You were the odd man out for that. Not anymore. Not anymore. We're the majority now. You could go outside right now and see a woman in her 20s or 30s and assume that she's more likely to not have a kid than to have one. The men are going to crash out about this because they're so worried about the birth rate. And let me make this clear. I don't care. This is a reflection of the society you created. You priced people out of parenthood, you discriminated against pregnant people, you treated women like shit. Did you get what you wanted? Are you happy? I am. I'm actually thrilled.
Number one, with these statistics coming out about low birth rates, I want you all to understand that they are labeling it under the guise of low fertility rates. And while there are women that struggle to conceive, that's not the issue they are seeing. Women just don't want to have your big-headed ass babies anymore, and you all are panicking. And I do have an issue with you all labeling women from ages 15 to 19 with the lowest birth drop as an issue. Those are girls. Why do you all want teen girls having children when you all are taking all the resources? You all don't want WIC or daycare or Head Start. You all don't care about maternal health, but you want us to pop out your ugly babies. We don't want to do that anymore. Okay, you got 20 and 30-year-olds moving back in with their parents because everything is higher than that coochie on a light pole. And then we are now having to take care of our aging parents. And you want us to have children? As Tupac said, since a man can't make one, you have no right to tell a woman when and where to create one. And a few thousand years ago, you all didn't even know that you were a part of the process until you saw two animals mate and you put that together. We don't want to have your children.
Wanting women to continuously pump babies into an incredibly hostile world that does not care for either the mothers or the children is insane. Of course the fucking birth rate is dropping, bitch. People can't even afford their groceries. They can't afford their rent. And young men who are told that they are worthless unless they can make enough money to support a family are absolutely furious because there's no way to do that.
But the thing is, they aren't furious at the men who are actually doing it. They are furious at other groups of people and women. That's the problem.
Reality is that the reason that corporate America and the governments are upset about this is because it leads to too few workers to feed the meat grinder of capitalism. We have no system in place to support the aging population as it stands now. The system is you have to take care of your abusive parents while they die because the government isn't going to do it.
And when she says we, she means women. And if you don't know, there are actual states who are putting this in place, and it is called filial laws. Laws where you have to financially be responsible for your ailing parents because the government, aka white men, wants women to care for everybody for free. Unpaid labor.
And otherwise, there's just going to be a lot of homeless, elderly individuals in the streets. And the reason why it's 30-year-old women and younger who are childless versus millennials having the same number of children as the youngest boomers is because we were fed a line of bullshit. As millennials, I fully believed when Barack Obama was president, I believed that the world was going to continue on its path toward progress. I believed that science and medicine were going to continue to solve our problems. I believed that we were moving into an era of social evolution, more equality, not less. I believed that the whole world was fighting against oppression. Why the fuck did I believe that shit? I don't know. Because I'm an idiot, but that's not the point. The younger generations actually see shit. Unfortunately, for better or for worse, they see it for exactly what the fuck it is. So they're not bringing kids into this fucking prison planet. Why would you do that? In fact, 90% of the pain that I personally feel about what is happening right now is because I have a child. It is the crushing weight and guilt of the fact that I brought a little girl into this bullshit fucking world. And I have no idea what her future holds.
There is now a national ban on a woman's right to end her pregnancy. And I know that people want to sugarcoat this, but I live in reality. And here are the facts. At this moment, mifepristone cannot be mailed to women who need it. In at least 20 states, there is a total or partial ban on a woman's right to end her pregnancy, whether she's been attacked or whether her health is at risk. Many of those states have laws that will punish anyone who helps a woman travel out of state to get mifepristone. For the vast majority of women in this country, that is a total ban. That means women will lose their lives. That means girls as young as 10 years old will lose their lives because they've been attacked by someone that they know, somebody that they're related to, when their little bodies can't handle a pregnancy. And yes, there are other medications out there. And yes, this court decision is not final. But for some women, this decision is final for them today. Today, they cannot access the ability to end their pregnancy. And that decision has been made by the federal government. That is a national federal ban. But we must understand what's happening right now. We must accept the reality of it in order to fight back. If anyone you know, whether it's your child at college or a friend or a relative, if they live in a state where there's a ban, they need to have Plan B on hand for themselves or someone else. Republicans have just declared women property of the state. We must be angry. We must fight back on this.
Selection has always existed. Throughout history, the bottom layers of society die first. Diseases, wars, famines, failed hunts. If you couldn't survive the environment, then your bloodline ends there. But today, natural selection looks different. It isn't plagues or predators anymore, it's economics. Today, more and more people are choosing not to have children, not because they don't want them, but because they can't figure out how to survive the modern system. Housing is too expensive, stability feels too uncertain, the future feels too fragile, so they opt out. And when someone decides not to have children, their entire DNA line ends with them. Every ancestor who survived wars, diseases, and centuries of hardship stops there. You see, natural selection never stopped, it just changed form.
Women are not less fertile. Our bodies are working exactly as they always have. What's changed is that we're saying no. And that is worth celebrating. Not like they frame it in the news, like it's something to be sad about. Because when a woman chooses not to have children, nothing is wrong with her biology. Her fertility is completely intact. What's changed is her level of knowledge, her discernment, her ability to really sit with the decision and understand the weight of what that decision will do to her life, how her options will narrow, how her time will stop being her own, and how whatever version of her she's used to or what she was building will get set aside. When we call that a fertility problem, we're pathologizing a choice. We are making a decision sound like a defect somehow. And that needs to stop.
Because once women awaken from the illusion, it threatens the very foundation of social stability. Rather than building a system to actually support mothers, the society has found that brainwashing women is much cheaper. If more women knew the harsh truth about pregnancy and motherhood, the birth rate would likely to be even lower. It's hard to believe it's already 2026, we still haven't fully educated women about the damage pregnancy can cause to a woman both physically and mentally. Starting with the milder effects, childbirth can lead to pelvic floor tears, uterine prolapse, urinary incontinence, hair loss. In severe cases, it can cause blindness or even death. So last year, 2 of my female friends, they had babies. Both of them had always wanted kids and were excited to become mothers. Yet they told me, Jessie, do not get married, do not have kids. Apart from all the physical damage that come with it, the most devastating part is the emotional drain. Since giving birth, neither of them has had a single good night's sleep. They're up every night feeding the baby and have to get up early next morning to go to work. The worst part is everyone around them acts it's just how it's supposed to be, because that is just how it always has been. Even the most supportive husband can't fully understand what you went through. That's what they told me. So if you really want to have babies, please do more research. It's not going to be easy.
I know a lot of the girls going to hate me for saying this, but for the ones that don't want to have kids, what is your plan for when you get older?
If you are having children with the expectation that they will take care of you when you get older, then you are having children for the wrong reasons. A child is not a retirement plan, and they are not a future caregiver that you are investing in. When you choose to bring a child into this world, you owe them everything because they did not ask to be here. However, they owe you nothing. Why do people act as though bringing another human into existence is some sort of transaction? Like, oh, I raised you, now you owe me. Oh, I made sure you had food in your stomach. Well, yeah, because if you don't, it's called neglect. Parenting is not a loan with interest. It is a responsibility that you willingly take on, knowing that your child has every right to live a life separate from yours. The entitlement of thinking who is going to take care of me when I'm old if I don't have kids, as if that is the sole purpose of parenthood, is mind-blowing. Why are you not considering looking into savings, insurance, assisted living options, or forming valuable relationships? Why are we defaulting to creating an entire human being who didn't ask to be born just so you won't die alone?
One's having kids, and this is across the world, the West, the East, everywhere it's happening. Look, I'm 30 years old. Not one of my friends has children. Zero. No one. No one's having kids. Do you know how hard you need to abuse a mammal to make them not have children?
Not me thinking that the mammal that he was talking about was human women. How much we've been abused in this system and why we're not having children. Silly of me.
The theory here. So there's the thing that happens, especially with younger, even younger than me. Like the kids are 18 today. There's a huge problem where they don't dance. No one dances. They go to clubs and they don't dance. Yeah. Why is this? Because you get recorded. Yeah. If you're an 18-year-old kid, you go to a club, you get recorded. If you approach a girl and you mess it up, you get recorded.
So social anxiety and cameras and being recorded is why young males are not having babies, as if they can actually have a baby.
It's the panopticon now. So if you had to ask me why, my answer is technology. My answer is social media. My answer is AI. My answer is algorithms. Do you know what dating app algorithms do? Do you know how they optimize? They don't optimize you to meet your love of your life. They optimize you to keep coming back to the app. Yeah. And now there's a thing that basically we have sold out all of our dating norms, all of our interpersonal norms to tech companies without our consent to optimize their ad algorithm. I think there's a deep thing where we as a society have not dealt with the fact that we have to steward technology responsibly. We have treated technology as a Wild West. Absolutely. Just everyone can do whatever they want. Just sell all of our younger generation's dating lives to corporations for profit. And who pays the cost for this? Who has liability? For every person who doesn't find the love of their life because the whole dating market's fucked up, who pays for this? No one. There's no responsibility. It's completely worthless. And these dating companies, they're not even profitable. They keep losing money. It's a complete shit show.
So it's not the government controlling our bodies and stripping away our rights and taking away daycare and resources that will help us and not wanting us to work and enslaving us and then enslaving our kids when they get older and then sending our kids to war and teaching them how to be racist and hate themselves. It's not patriarchy. It's none of these things. It's not that women don't have communities and most of the men are leaving them when they get pregnant or financially abusing them if they want them to be stay-at-home moms or not helping them in the house with the kids and the chore. It's none of that. None of that.
You know what dating app algorithms do? Do you know how they optimize? They don't optimize you to meet your love of your life. They optimize you to keep coming back to the app.
Yeah.
And now there's a thing that basically we have sold out all of our dating norms, all of our, our interpersonal norms to tech companies without our consent to optimize their ad algorithm. I think there's a deep thing where we as a society have not dealt with the fact that we have to steward technology responsibly. We have treated technology as a Wild West.
Absolutely.
Just everyone can do whatever they want. Just sell all of our younger generation's dating lives to corporations for profit. And who pays the cost for this? Who has liability? For every person who doesn't find the love of their life because the whole dating market's fucked up, who pays for this? No one. There's no responsibility. It's completely worthless. And these dating companies, they're not even profitable. They keep losing money. It's a complete shit show.
Women are anti-family. Doesn't anyone care about having a legacy anymore? It's like they just want to avoid the pain and suffering that comes from creating something. Like, I built this podcast from the ground up. I am absolutely having kids as soon as I find the right woman who is willing to do all of the work for me. If I were to blame one thing for the declining birth rate, it would probably be K-pop.
Like, literally, we're in a twilight zone. She's so spot on. They will blame anything for women not wanting to have kids with them but themselves. It's K-pop now.
Responsibility. Me not having kids proves that this is a huge problem. We're too busy explaining to everyone else that this is a problem. Somebody's got to sound the alarm. I'm on my grind set. I record this podcast every week. I care deeply about traditional values. I love that I can just hop on a plane anytime I want. Have you been to South America, bro? As soon as I start having kids, I am personally cranking them out as fast.
They literally talk like they are the ones on the hospital bed with their legs spread wide open, popping out a human being the size of a small watermelon that is tearing them from point A to point Z. They literally talk like they are the ones who are having these babies themselves.
Possible. Like, people say it'll be hard or whatever, but I'm pretty sure I'll figure it out. I mean, I made this podcast, so how hard can a baby be?
The entire patriarchy is based around stripping women of their rights, specifically reproductive rights, because that is what they cannot control. It is why they really need patriarchy, because without patriarchy, they don't have a means to actually control women's reproductive system. And so they've designed our entire culture, our entire hierarchy is dependent on the fact that women can reproduce, men can't, and their jealousy, their anger, their rage, their desire for control has just developed these systems that do not benefit humanity, but benefit their ability to reproduce and have a say in who reproduces unequivocally. And like, women are never giving you our reproductive rights, baby G. We're gonna fight for that shit.
New data has come out saying that the national fertility rate has dropped to an all-time low, and women are collectively saying, well, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Now, there were still 3.6 million babies that were born last year in America, but that number has continued to drop year after year, and I can think of about 100 million reasons why. First, let's start out with the fact that in America, we've made it completely impossible to have a baby, grow, or expand your family. It costs a shit ton to have a baby in the hospital, and then costs even more to put that baby through. There's no paid family leave. We force moms to go back to work before they're ready. We make them breastfeed without any support or public spaces, and then we shame them when they breastfeed their kid at the table next to us. It is so unaffordable to have kids that we're now waiting until later to have those kids so we can afford them. But then now we know that fertility declines with age, but IVF costs about $30,000 to $40,000 per cycle since we don't have universal insurance coverage.
And we don't have universal insurance coverage because of racism.
We don't allocate appropriate funding or studying to female health issues. Oh, and then you came after abortion, making it dangerous to get pregnant, stay pregnant, be pregnant, and told women, if you don't want to have a baby, then cross your damn legs. So now you see that fertility rates are declining and you're surprised? And I say this as disrespectfully as possible from all the women in America, specifically those of us on the left. You can kiss our ass.
Everyone says U.S. birth rates are declining among millennial and Gen Z women, but
No one wants to listen when we tell them we'd have more kids if we had national paid leave, affordable childcare, better healthcare access that lowered maternal mortality rates, expanded fertility programs, resources for new mothers, and workplace policies that don't punish moms. Oh, and teaching men to carry their share of the load. Then, maybe we'd have kids. What? Who said that?
Again, this is because of racism. Until everybody collectively realizes we don't have all the things that we should have in this country, America, the melting pot, is because of racism. Until y'all acknowledge that, you're not going to have it. It's not going to get better because you have to identify the problem to fix it. They don't want black people to have these things. And you're voting against that, not realizing that they don't want women to have these things either. They don't want women to have these things because they need you in the house birthing more racists so they can teach them to be racist in the school system. Y'all are fighting against CRT and what's really happening in this country and what happened because you think it's going to hurt your kids' feelings. But no. You're making it worse by not learning the truth and teaching your kids the truth. And we're sitting back and watching as they erase history again. So your kids in the future won't know the truth. They'll just think in their head, we are the winners. We are the conquerors. These people were stupid and that's why we keep winning. These people are uncivilized and they don't act right and that's why we keep winning. We're sitting back watching racist propaganda with AI. They're taking away our channels. They're doing all kind of stuff to push more racial propaganda and lies, and people are sitting back watching.
Tennessee would like to require every woman in the state have at least one child. They passed a law that allows hospitals to require that you have at least one child before they will tie your tubes.
And please believe, this law is for white women. Although it's going to affect black women the worst because we are at the bottom of the totem pole as far as the racial hierarchy, it's going to affect white women because they need you to keep birthing white supremacy. They don't mind if black women birth a few more slaves for the system, but this is to target white women. They got plans. They got other plans for black women and black men, but they need more white babies on this planet.
The Medical Defense Act allowed a Catholic hospital to legally cancel a woman's sterilization surgery because they said they had a duty to protect her sacred fertility. What the hell is that?
That's white supremacy. Do y'all think that this was a black woman or a white woman?
Called Ethics Committee said that she was too young and that she hadn't had a child yet, so they wouldn't perform the surgery, meaning that she has to have at least one child before they will let her tie her tubes. You shouldn't be a doctor if you're a religious nut job. And in Tennessee, you can't end your pregnancy even if you've been violently assaulted. And since only 1% of assaults actually lead to jail time in this country, it's legal to assault women in this country, let's be honest.
Let's be honest, it has always been legal to assault women. Do y'all know how many rape kits have gone untested purposely? We have pedophiles running the country. And this is why I push. Women, arm yourselves. They're about to come for the Second Amendment. Before they were saying it was Democrats that are going to take your guns. But now they're trying to come up with reasons to take your guns. And that is why I'm pushing more women to own guns.
Are doing everything they can to require women to have at least one child in this country. And there are plenty of violent men out there ready to assist them. They don't require men to have at least one child before he gets a vasectomy. Every single law that these Republican religious nut jobs pass in the name of their religion brings us one step closer to requiring women to have at least one child in this country. They're already doing it in Tennessee.
Or women have just said, you know what? Let it die off. We just don't care. We're not here to sustain your population for you anymore. Not in a world you've created where it's impossible to live, let alone thrive. Where childcare costs that of college tuition. Where it is safer to be an active military member than it is to be pregnant. A world where you overturned Roe because you wanted to force women to have.
As we're talking about all of this stuff, I don't want us to forget the group of women who helped them get into power to oppress all of us. White women, the women who birthed these men, helped them get into power and stay in power to oppress all of us, including themselves. We're not going to glaze over that.
Which has taken away access to OBGYNs, equipped hospitals, procedures that could save our life. So yeah, you have seen an increase in sterilization and long-term birth control. What did you expect to happen when you created a world that told women loud and clear that the only thing you value about them is the production of their uterus? Guess what? You tell them they have to do it, they're not going to want to do it. And you create a world that isn't conducive to them surviving, let alone thriving to raise kids in it. Why the hell would we bring kids into it?
A Japanese lawmaker proposed that women over 25 cannot marry.
I highly doubt that Japanese women want to marry Japanese men anyway.
And women over 30 must have their uteruses removed as a way to increase Japan's declining birth rate.
Do you see what happens when you birth too many males and you worship them and you give them too much power? This is what they do to you.
Explain. Naoki Hayakuta has sparked widespread outrage with his controversial proposals aimed at addressing Japan's declining birth rate. Hayakuta's remarks were made during a YouTube program where he discussed potential measures to increase Japan's birth rate. He suggested that all women in Japan should undergo forced hysterectomies after the age of 30 and be banned from marrying after 25. Additionally, Hayakuta proposed restricting women's access to education beyond the age of 18 to prioritize childbearing over other pursuits. According to him, these extreme measures would pressure women to have children earlier, reversing the nation's demographic decline. Japan has been grappling with the declining birth rate and an aging population for several decades. The country's birth rate has dropped to its lowest level since 1969. Japan's health ministry reported only 350,074 births between January and June, marking a 5.7% decline compared to the same period last year. Women across Japan fiercely condemned the Conservative Party leader's remarks, calling them oppressive and deeply misogynistic. Facing intense backlash, Hayakuta later issued an apology, claiming his comments were merely a hypothetical idea. He then stated that they were meant to spark discussion within the framework of a science fiction storyline, and that he did not personally support these ideas.
They're always going to want to restrict your access to education because that makes you better prey. Just like how they restricted everybody's access to education in the United States, it makes them more capable of being molded and used for their own reasons. Young girls who get with older men, they're better prey. They don't know how to look for red flags. This is why they're trying to come for our freedom of speech. They don't want us to teach the generations before us to do better than us. They're going to do everything but listen to us about why we're not having kids, because we are in a patriarchy and they were conditioned and taught not to listen to us. And because men are not firing on all four cylinders and all of their brain cells are not working, they're followers. And so they're just going to go with it because that's what they are. They're natural followers. So whoever the top men at the top are with the money, who teaches them, who propagandizes them, that is who they're going to follow. And that is what we're seeing globally. And women have been brainwashed to believe the same thing, that the man is the leader, you should listen to him. So much so that we are voting for them and birthing them and worshiping them and putting ourselves in danger because of we're not using all the brain cells that we have, which is way more than what they have because they come from us. They have a broken chromosome, but they're still ruling over us somehow. Women have to wake up. I don't know if it's just me or not, but when I look around, I don't see countries that are mostly black or most of the people are phenotypically black. I don't see them complaining about falling birth rates. So I don't know. Y'all let me know if it's just me, but I haven't seen it. That just leads me to believe that this is white supremacy. They want to control the look of the people globally, and they want to keep procreating people who phenotypically look more like them, whether it's in China or Russia or Korea, any country who is talking about, the falling birth rates, I noticed that the majority of the people are not majority Black. Because in countries that are majority Black, it doesn't seem like they're having an issue with falling birth rates. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because of their nations aren't as capitalistic and they are really not getting much aid, and so there's no reason for them to boost their birth rates for profit. I don't know. I just got like all my own ideas. So y'all get down in the comments. That's all I have for now, and I will talk to y'all later.
Hey ladies, if you enjoyed what you heard today, please subscribe. You can also like and leave a comment to help us reach more people. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you in the comment section.